Morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
Welcome to the Rails member update. Today, January 17th, 2019. I'm Deirdre Brennan. Hello, everybody out there. We've got a lot of people hooked up today via the Polycom sites, but also through Rails Live. And just remember that members, if you are participating via Rails Live, it's very easy to enter comments or questions in the chat window, and we'll be monitoring that, and we'll, respond to your questions, etc., in a very timely fashion. So, to get us started, let's do introductions. And I guess we might as well just start here in Burr Ridge since we're here. So do you want to start over there, please?
Anita Durkin, Justice Public Library.
From where?
Justice Public Library.
Oh, great.
Nikki Zimmerman from Rails.
Ryan Hebel from Rails.
Jessica Barnes from Rails.
Anna Beam from Rails.
Arcadia McCauley from the LaGrange Public Library.
Deirdre Brennan, Rails.
Jane Plass, Rails.
Caitlin Salem, Crestwood.
Roberta Richter, Morris area.
Jory Daniels, Maywood.
Patricia Smith, Robert Rowe.
Jenny Cottrell, Midlothian. Hi, neighbor.
Jane Jenkins, Green Hills. Hi.
All right. All set?
Justin's working on it. There's a connection.
Okay. You
Other
won't
people
all,
might have some connection problems.
you will not be shocked to hear that we are having a slight technical difficulty. What would a meeting be without it? But it's nothing that's going to stop the meeting. It's just a little bit of a hitch with the Rails Live. So just be patient, Rails Livers. And do they know that there's a problem? Yeah, okay. All right. So, okay, thank you, Burr Ridge. Let's move to Bolingbrook.
Hi, this is Dave Delatorza from Naperville. It's just me here.
Great, welcome, thank you. How about Coal Valley?
Angela Campbell, Rock Island.
Catherine Worsley, Aledo.
Leanne Bredberg, Andalusia.
Michelle Thurston, Anawan.
That's it.
I see you have cleverly positioned yourselves so that we cannot see you, but we may be able to do something about that. But anyway, welcome. It's nice to kind of see you and to hear you. East Peoria.
Hi, this is Dan Boston from Rails.
Cheryl Harlow from Brimfield.
Tina Kelstadt, Brimfield.
Great, nice to see you. All right, let's go to our libraries now and other sites. Aurora. Anybody in Aurora? There was someone there before.
She's busy cooking.
I thought. Hello. I think you're muted. All right, well, we'll see if we can help you from our end. Anyway, yes.
No.
No, that was not you, Aurora. Okay. We'll come back to you. Cherry Valley.
Hi, Jane Lenzer here at Cherry Valley. So far, I'm by myself, but I think someone else is coming, so we'll see.
Okay. Hi, Jane. Freeport.
Good morning. I'm Ashley. I'm the Ashley Huffines, Director of Freeport Public Library.
Diane Ludwig, Head of Adult Services at Freeport Public Library.
Linda Schreiber, Bartlett Memorial Library, Leaf River.
Penny Bryant, Pecatonica Public Library.
Katie Weger, Pecatonica.
Great. Thank you. Anybody at ILA in Chicago? My eyes are not that good, Ryan.
So-
Pardon me for a moment, folks.
People are just sitting in the room not paying attention to us.
Sorry?
Aurora people might not be.
Yeah, I think Aurora just not paying attention to us. I think they're just.
Oh, it's a different meeting in Aurora. Okay. All right. Okay.
Also, if people are having trouble on Rails Live, they could go on Firefox, and I've gotten in there now.
Okay. So I don't know if it helps to say it here, but
I don't know either, but if
Probably will.
Use Firefox if you're trying to get in on Rails Live. Okay. Anybody at ILA in Chicago? I don't think is it hooked up? I don't see it. Is it? Okay.
There
Yes.
was no one registered there.
Okay, Kankakee. We know you're there. Are you at our meeting? Kankakee, we can't hear you. Okay. We'll come back to you. LaSalle. Can't hear you, LaSalle. How about Macomb? Oops. Hello?
Sharon Sample.
Dennis Stanowski from beautiful downtown Macomb.
Hey, hi Dennis.
Hi.
All right, how about New Lenox?
That's us. Michelle Croswick, New Lenox.
Lauren Opperman, Three Rivers.
Brian Smith, Rails.
Rich Ashley, Fossil Ridge.
Kathy Bergeron, Madison area.
Thanks.
Great, thank you. How about Quincy? Anybody at Quincy?
Do we want this one?
Yes, we're here. Bobby Mock.
Katie Krauser.
Great. Hey, hi there. Okay, Sterling.
No, it's empty.
Doesn't look like it.
How about Sycamore?
Oh, Ella Johnson.
Could you say that again, Sycamore?
Scott Grotto, Ella Johnson, just me.
Okay, great, thank you. And Vernon.
Cindy First, Vernon area.
Aaron Wyatt, Highland Middle School, Libertyville.
Joe Philippek, Rails.
Sarah Murray, Director at Algonquin.
Tim Longo, Evanston Public Library.
Diane McNulty, Cary Area Library.
Emily Leonard, Highland Middle School, Libertyville.
Jay Caston, Rails and Vernon Area Public Library.
Skip the state library. Okay.
And how about the State Library?
Joe Natale. Mary Risling.
Great, great to see you. How about LaSalle? Did you get your sound fixed up yet? Well, just speak up when you do. I think that's the best way to go. So, are we good with Rails Live? Okay.
Can you hear us at
Pardon me?
Kankakee?
Yes.
Jamie Lackwood from Mantino Public Library.
Yes.
Noreen
Who's in
Borman.
Kankakee?
Jamie Lackwood from Mantino Public Library. And
Noreen Borman, Peatone. Did you get us?
Yep, I gotcha. Nice to see you. Yep. Okay. Okay, great. So, all right, well, let's dive right in. So, first thing I wanted to update you about are our membership standards, a topic near and dear to all of us, especially me. So we did begin our data collection at the beginning of December. It's going to go until the end of March. We've already got over 200 libraries that have responded, which is great. We are getting questions, but not a lot. The State Library is going to be sending out a message reminding libraries that completing the data collection form is required. Just to give you a sense of what some of the frequently asked questions are, a large number of them relate to getting into L2. It's probably not a surprise. Special libraries have asked us have pointed out that some of the information that we ask for in some of their organizations is actually, I don't know if proprietary is the right word, but confidential. They're not public organizations. So that was something that we hadn't thought of. It's not true of all special libraries, but it is true of some. So we need to keep that in mind as we review all of this in the spring or summer. School libraries, you probably won't be surprised to hear, don't have access to very much of their budget information. So that in itself has been a very interesting and not a happy thing to know. They are certainly very, many of them have called me directly and they're very interested in finding out. So I think this process itself is kind of useful. I mean, it's not an easy thing for them to do because they have to go to different administrators, etc. But I think, just understanding that is going to be a step forward. There have been questions on what we are including in the collections area because it is broader than what is included in some of the other data forms like IPLAR. What operating budget means, always sort of an existential question, but particularly for schools that unfortunately do exist on donations, they have been calling to be sure that they can actually use, include those funds in their operating budget. So it just that the questions we've been getting have been very interesting. So, as indicated, since we're getting questions, I mean, the whole point of doing this for a year was to see how it went, see how libraries do, to see what changes need to be made in the form and in the thresholds that we've set. So, and then we're also, of course, working on different aspects to the training that we will be providing for new administrators. So, that's really the update. Does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask at this point? Anywhere?
I think there might be some questions that I'm not seeing on my... Ryan, are you seeing ones that I'm...
Refresh your chat. I think Wes reset it again.
Okay.
Just hold on one sec, see if we have stuff on Rails Live.
I've got a question.
Yes, Jennifer.
Usual turnaround time for answering questions sent to that email. I submitted a couple last week and didn't hear.
Oh, I'll look at it. It's usually better than that.
Okay.
So, sorry about that. Okay. Okay. There are days and then there are, yeah. Okay.
I had them too.
Yeah. Any other questions about the standards or the data collection or next steps or anything like that? Got anything, Nikki?
I'm not seeing anything yet, but I'm refreshing one more time.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, I guess, you'll be hearing more about that. As I said, the data collection goes on for a while longer. We're going to obviously have to, at some point, start, I don't want to say beating the bushes, but really, putting a lot of more, really publicizing this and getting libraries to do it. But anyway, moving on then to a staffing update. So we had some vacancies that came up in 2018, notably Luis Savela, who was our continuing education specialist. She helped Joe with all the training programs. Louise moved on. She's working at the Joliet Public Library. Lucky them. And then I'm sure that some of you have noticed that Veranda is not with us any longer. She has gone to work for Khalifa, which is a similar organization to Rails in California. And then Amanda Masaccio, who was the resource sharing specialist who worked for Veranda, she has gone to College of DuPage, where she's in charge now of the LTA program. So we, as always, and I'm sure as many of you do the same, when we have vacancies, we always look at what the job is and, analyze what if our needs are still the same. And of course, that means looking at what our member needs are. And so we did make some changes based on what we've heard from members, what we heard in our strategic plan, et cetera. So we have posted 4 positions, and you probably, a lot of you have probably seen them. So we are hiring 2 continuing education specialists instead of 1. We have a lot more need or demands for training in a lot more diverse areas. We heard a lot about that in the strategic plan, and so we have beefed that up. We also have decided to put the questions, the member questions, and the sort of the consulting piece about that, the resource sharing department that Veranda used to handle, into consulting and continuing education, because that's really it's all consulting. So questions about library cards, non-resident resource sharing now really live in the consulting and continuing education department. And the resource sharing department has the director position and the resource sharing specialist we have combined into one manager position, the library resources and program manager, so that this department will really focus on developing and overseeing programs and services for libraries, like cooperative purchases, like eRead, Explore More Illinois, that you'll hear about later. So much more really, a better focus on those services for member libraries. And then we've decided that we need, very badly, a data coordinator and a research analyst to oversee and manage and analyze all the data that we collect, which is an enormous amount. And, to do research into questions that we get asked or that we ask ourselves, for example, return on investment for libraries on various services and we think this is really going to help libraries tell their stories, because we'll have data that we can provide to support the stories. And as you know, data, facts, numbers are always very interesting to our funders. So we think these changes are really very appropriate at this point, given the changes in our member needs. So some of us are going to ALA next week, and there is a job fair there, placement center. We're going to be, hopefully meeting some people there, but obviously very interested in local people too. So I think those are all open till the end of the month.
Correct.
Yep. So that's the update on staffing. Any comments or questions from anyone? How's Rails Live doing?
It's quiet.
It is working. That's great. Okay. Okay. Well, if you want to ask a question later, or email a question, or call me later, or during the meeting, whatever, that's great. I'm happy to answer your questions. But we think this is a really good move, and we've already got a list, a mile long of projects for the data coordinator. And I'm sure your minds and wheels are turning to, like, oh boy, I've always wanted to be able to get this kind of information. So, okay. So now we're going to talk about the census a bit. And we and the State Library is going to help us. Thank you very much, Joe. Because the census is coming up in 2020, which is next year, amazingly enough. And, those of you who were in libraries, probably especially public libraries in 2010, you probably recall how much your library was involved in that census in terms of, places for census takers or workers to meet or to get trained, or people coming in to ask questions about the census, etc. So everything that happened in 2010 is going to be like times 10 in 2020. It's going to be electronic, online, whatever. That's citizenship question that may or may not be included. There's a lot of greater mistrust of government than there ever has been. And the census is very important because it determines not only our representation in Congress, and we've already lost some population in Illinois, but it determines funding levels in a lot of different areas for states, and that includes LSTA money that comes to the state library that supports grants and supports delivery and supports the LSAPs and supports per capita grants and all of the things that we value and also take for granted are at risk if we don't get a good count in Illinois. So I'm going to let Joe talk about it more, but you need to have this on your screen. This is going to be very important. And there's a big effort in Illinois that's being kind of led by the Secretary of State. So take it away, Joe.
Okay. We're noticing some that you're kind of in and out, so I hope...
You're going to have to speak up, though. We can't, Joe, we can't hear you.
Oh, boy. Hold on. Can you hear me now?
Little bit better. Keep going. Keep going. More volume.
The microphone's so far away.
I think your microphone's kind of far away, so you're going to have to yell. Okay. Awesome.
It won't move. Oh, I think it's underneath the table light. There you go. No, I was wrapping around that.
Take your time. This is important.
Oops, that's not that. I made I can move. Hold on a second.
Yep, we're happy.
We can move over. That's on red though. Does that need to be green? Hold on. Can you hear?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. Oh, is this better? Is this better?
It's a little better.
Is this better? All right.
I think you're just gonna have to yell.
I was just sitting.
Oh, that was
yeah. We'll sit up here.
That might be better.
Totally.
That's better.
All right. Hold on.
We're patient.
All right. First of all,
That's
I asked
great.
Mary Okay. I asked Mary Reisling. She's on the Secretary of State's program staff, and she is really the lead staff support for the statewide census.
Okay.
This is some general background overview, and then we can talk about some of the library things.
Okay, great.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name is Mary Reisling. I'm Secretary White's program policy staff, and I am the program administrator for the Illinois Complete Count Commission that was established by statute in 2017. We started having meetings in 2018. Secretary White serves as chair of the commission. The commission has 2 members from across the state, from Chicago all the way down to Metropolis. We meet on a monthly basis, and we are all working together to establish outreach, education, and programs to get people motivated to participate in the census. We know that there are some challenges ahead of us. Illinois is probably going to lose at least 1 congressional district. We have this chance of possibly even losing 2 if we're undercounted in any way. And a lot of people think that we were undercounted in 2010, which is something that we don't want to see happen again in 2020. So we are really trying to work together to reach out to all the different types of communities in the state of Illinois, particularly in those hard to count areas, which include your rural areas and your veterans and your seniors and your immigrant populations. We've put together some educational materials. Right now they're in English. We're in the process of getting those translated so that we can get them out to areas. We're going to translate into Spanish, Polish, Chinese, Hindi, and so we will have those types of materials available for the libraries and other communities to be able to, to get that information out. We are really, we really want to partner with the libraries because you are, like the center point in the local communities. It's like everybody goes to the library. Well, we hope everybody goes to the library. I know I do. So as far as having areas where people can come in, census takers can come in and help enumerate populations, and also because the 2020 census is going to rely heavily on technology, we're very concerned about like people in our senior communities and people in our rural communities that don't have access to internet or that don't trust internet in some way, they're just not comfortable using it. So we're going to rely on the libraries a lot to help us reach out to those particular populations. Obviously, as was talked about earlier, we have concerns about the citizenship question that may or may not be on the census questionnaire when it comes out in 2020. We are operating under the assumption that it will be on there. There was a court case earlier this week where it was struck down, but there's also a trial going on in California right now on the same issue. So we're going to just continue to operate under the assumption that the citizenship question is going to be on there, which then also may isolate some other people, within the state of Illinois as to whether or not they want to participate in the census. But the bottom line is that, we look forward to working with the libraries. Joe has been a great asset for us. And we look forward to working with the local libraries to try and get a good outcome for 2020. And I'd be willing to answer any questions anyone might have.
Okay, we've done, you can see, we did a mailing, and we included this in the mailing to the public libraries. I think, and I think probably down the line more will be printed and we can get more out. One of the things that the committee asked us to do, asked the state library to do, is to coordinate a poster contest. So it's going to be reviewed at the next meeting next week by the entire committee. But we patterned it after the school bus safety poster contest and the organ donation. We're aiming for the older grades 7 through 12. These could be history classes, computer graphic classes, and things like that, social studies. We're accepting posters in a number of languages. They need to give us an English translation, but we're trying to reach those hard to count populations. And we're going to be trying to roll that out this spring and judge them and have, if possible, some kind of award ceremonies. We would like to put the posters on display here in Springfield, Chicago, and depending what comes in and everything, ask the libraries if they would display them too, so then the kids can get some attention and accolades. Another thing that you picked up from Mary's comments, at one of the meetings, I mean, there's like legislators and leaders from the Hispanic community and throughout the state. They want to come into the library, and their concern is that the frontline library staff understands, and this is the word we need to get out, that if people come in and they want to use computers to do the census, we're asking libraries, including the non-residents. I know this is a issue with some people, but it will impact the amount of money we would get for LSTA to count as many as we can. It might be a way to build some goodwill and expand services in the future, but whatever. But now we need to be accommodating and help get this count as accurate and as close as possible. I will be available, and I would prefer if we could recruit people from the main committee to be speakers at any kind of workshop or program you're doing. We're going to try to get a program at ILA. That's in the fall. I don't know what that program would be yet, and I'll talk to ILA about giving us some elbow room, because there might be other issues that would be more pertinent in October than they are now, that we need to bring to the conference's attention. So that's kind of where we're at.
I'm sorry, 'cause I forgot a couple things to mention. One thing that I did want to mention is that we do have a website. It's illinoiscensus2020.org. So you can go there and pick up more information. The brochures are on there. There's facts on there and other resources that you can gather more information about the upcoming 2020 census. And the other thing that we are trying, local complete count committees. Usually they are done through your city or municipal government. The mayor, your village president, may have established them. The Census Bureau is working with the local communities also to try and get these established. Some communities are doing it, some communities are not. We strongly encourage communities, if you have not already established a complete count committee, to do so. If you want to check with your local government and see if they have one going. If not, you can get group-minded people within your community and establish your own complete count committee. And to work with the commission, the commission will support you and try and come out and talk to the community if you set things up or you have outreach, fairs or things like that where you need somebody from the Census Commission to come out, and talk to the people that are attending. We will try and accommodate any requests that we have coming in. So, and we're more than, like I said, we strongly encourage the local communities because it's all about grassroots, especially when it comes to your hard to count communities. But any community, it comes down to grassroots, regardless of what your population is. And so we encourage, every local community to try to establish their complete count committee if they can. Thank you.
And just one more thing I want to add, not necessarily a requirement, but if you do something in your library community, and if you could just document that and save it, because we're finding out we really don't have a lot of documentation from the previous census that would have been helpful now. So, we're going to make a concerted effort to save this information, and if, just heads up, if you did that also, then when 2030 rolls around,
when none of us are here because we're all retired.
Yeah, then we'll have some record. That's it. If you have any questions?
Yeah, on the web that will come to me. So if you guys do have questions after the fact, after we meet today or whatever, or questions about establishing a local complete count committee, just hit that contact link and shoot me an email, and I'll be happy to answer any questions or inquiries that come in.
All right, thank you. I'm sure we do have questions. I know we already have one here. Patty?
Yes, hi. I'm from a library that's rural, not very good internet service, and a lot of senior population. So will you have census takers at our library with their own computers asking questions and inputting information for those who aren't comfortable on the public computers?
What we anticipate, and the understanding that we have from the Census Bureau, because we're working closely with them, the U.S. Census Bureau, is that there's going to be many layers to enumerating the populations. They are going to rely heavily on smartphones and computer, but you are still going to have people, you're going to have enumerators that make phone calls into particular households that haven't responded, or they're still going to go door to door, they're going to knock on doors, or they're going to have they'll set something up with the community and announce ahead of time so that people can come in. So there's going to be several layers to this outreach effort. So it's just because we're in the 21st century, they're going to rely heavily on technology, but we're still going to have to do for those communities like yours that are rural and have internet problems and senior, and a senior population, that we're going to have to do a grassroots and come in and probably, yes, they would bring in their own equipment. That would be my understanding. I'm sorry, I'm probably rambling, and that was really what you wanted to know. They would bring in their own equipment. And in situations like that, I think what they will probably do is, inquire from you as to whether or not you have, and if not, they can do their own Wi-Fi, smartphone, hotspot type of situation, bring it in so that they would have their service.
Yeah, with enough notice, we could easily make our community room available at certain times for them to, and we do have the Wi-Fi, so we'd be happy to help you out in that way, so.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah, and let us know, let us know here at the State Library, or let Mary know, but between us, we'll work to be sure that somebody gets out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Somebody have a question?
Yes, we have a question at Vernon. Go ahead, Cindy.
I know that the census is important and that it could mean extra funding for our communities at the tail end. Is there any funding in advance of the census to help libraries initiate some of these things, like what they talk about, extra staffing to help people on the computers, or improving their internet connectivity or anything like that?
The short answer is no for infrastructure support. So I'll just put that out there right up front. There was a report that the commission, an interim report the commission gave to the General Assembly back in November. And in that report, the commission did ask for $25 million to help support efforts for census outreach for 2020. And we left it openly vague as to, we just said outreach and education efforts. So I can't be able to, if we would get that money from the General Assembly, and that's a big if, if we would be able to utilize some of that money to help at the local level, I honestly just don't know. That would be something the commission would have to look at when we would ever get that money.
But that was a good question.
That was a very good question. So, because when they established the commission, by statute, they gave us no operational funding either. So we basically just, been working with the Secretary of State's budget to try and keep things moving along as best we can, in hopes that the General Assembly will give us some money in their FY20 budget.
I am going to put a link to that interim report, or have a link put. I'm not going to do it myself because I don't know how. A link on the website to that interim report that you referred to, Mary, is very interesting. It includes lots of different things. For example, even the list of communities that have already established their local committees, and just a lot of information about, including the fact that they can't find any documentation from 2010 about the census, which I thought was ironic at best. So, and just a lot, just very, just really good information. So put that out there. Obviously, Rails is going to be heavily engaged in putting out, informing people, communicating about all of this. I do have a call this afternoon with Diane Foote and somebody from CPL, I think Brian Bannon, Leslie Bednar, and Greg McGregor, just to talk about how we can coordinate moving forward also. So there's already a lot of good steps being taken, but it's going to be a lot of work for libraries just in general. I think people are going to come in and they're going to want our help, and And, you know, that's, yeah. So, as I said, you'll be hearing more, but we did want to give you this early warning. Are there other questions out there, since we have Joe and Mary here? All right, well, stay tuned. It's very important.
Thank you. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, speaking of communicating.
Before you move on, I do have a question from previous, just regarding the open positions.
Yes.
Someone had asked just why we are advertising in Seattle as opposed to ILA.
We're
I did assure
advertising.
that we are advertising.
Yes, we're advertising there. We just thought that since we were going to happen to be at in Seattle, that we might as well take advantage of that opportunity. That's all. No, it's been posted all locally, including on our own job line. So no worries on that one.
A couple are coming in. If there's any kind of training being offered for us now on how to help facilitate census filings, please let us know.
I don't think there's any training being offered yet.
I don't.
We're still in the developing stages. Anything else?
No.
All right. Okay. So I'm going to now do some tag teaming with Dan Bostrom, who's in East Peoria, because we want to talk to you about the campaign to help libraries promote their value and tell their stories that our communications department is launching as an outgrowth of our strategic planning sessions, where we heard so often and so emphatically about libraries need help, and in terms of explaining their value, telling their story, making funders, the world at large understand what the value of the library is. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Dan.
Thank you, Deirdre. Yeah, this is something that we've been hearing from our members that they'd like from us. So we are in the process of developing a year-long campaign that's going to help members tell their story and make the case for the value that they provide. We're still really in the planning and information gathering stages. We anticipate that this will continue to grow. Our plans are to have a website where people can access resources. There will also be opportunities for libraries to share what they're already doing. Some of you are already doing amazing things to articulate your value to stakeholders, community members, anyone out there. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is sending a survey out to you all in the next few weeks. We'd love your feedback to help us with this project. Tell us, what you're looking for, what you think already exists. And then down the line, look for more information on actions you can take and things that we're doing that would really strengthen this overall campaign.
Any questions from anybody? We did hear over and over again in our strategic planning listening sessions how important this is, and that also, interestingly, libraries of one type, public libraries, just as an example, being concerned about libraries of other types that all work together, and helping to articulate the value of the school library, for example, because if kids don't learn how to use the library in their school, then they're not going to be too good when they get to the public library or the college library. So I think that's also a very important component of the campaign, from our perspective. So yes, you'll be hearing more and reading more. So stay tuned on that one. Any questions at this point or suggestions?
This is Sarah from Coal Valley. I have a suggestion, and I'm going to, with our local elementary school, we're going to try to start some planning on a grant. But anyway, an idea, Deirdre, is to have maybe libraries, or maybe somebody can help the libraries at Rails build an escape room. I just got that book, Escape Rooms Libraries, and in it there are a couple programs on the Dewey Decimal System. And that might be a way to start, and that could be an initiative at a higher level than an individual library if we could maybe do that.
Yes, thank you. And I think there is. I was reading about that somewhere. Dan, do you remember what library was doing that? I was just reading that. Does anybody?
I feel I was just reading that too.
It was in one of our, like a connector. It was in one of the mailings that we get in email, because I was reading it too. I sent it to one of my staff members.
I think ALA also published a book on it, and I
Yes.
ordered it. I just got it the other day.
I think ALA, when they sent out their
Yeah, I
email
haven't had a chance to
newsletter.
read it yet, but it sounded really, it's definitely a thing. People love those things. They've been loving the computer games for a while, and a real life version is just awesome, so libraries can find a way.
Yeah, I definitely read about it. So thank you for that.
It was an e-learning workshop or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you, Roberta. That was, yeah. Okay, great. All right, so now we're going to talk about Find More. Jane.
Yes, thank you, Deirdre. So last time I talked about our expansion plans and beginning expansion with 3 cohorts to streamline implementation and training. So I'm pleased to say that in November, the libraries in cohort A went live. So currently in Find More, between that cohort and the pilot participants, we have 25 participants. That's at the agency level, representing 32 buildings, because we have some school districts in there, and some public libraries with branches. Those include, again, at the agency level, 3 academic libraries, 19 publics, and 3 schools. Consortia that are represented include our Prairie Cat, Rock River, and RSA now. And also Parlin Ingersoll in Canton is our first standalone library. And I will say that looking at statistics just for first couple weeks in January, Parlin Ingersoll is having the highest activity, speaks particularly to the value for standalones. We are working with libraries in both cohort B and C, and so between the two, we will have 10 more libraries going live in between early February and early March. So great. And having done that and worked out our training plans, we are now at the point where we can have an open application period. So you are all welcome to apply at any time. You start the process by requesting a quote, and of course it's a non-binding quote, through the Find More Illinois website at findmoreillinois.org. You need to log in with your L2 account to do that. Pretty easy. We don't need a whole lot of information from you to get you that quote. I have done a number of in-person presentations last fall and continuing with webinars. I did one yesterday. If you would like the recording when that's available, just drop me an email. I'm also doing a webinar on Monday, February 11th at 1:30, and another 18th at 10 o'clock. Those are in L2, so you can sign up. And if you can't make those times and want the recording, just sign up anyway, and we'll send it to you when it's available. So hope some of you will consider this, continue to join. The bigger the project, more value it's going to have, of course, because it'll be stronger for resource sharing. Any questions right now?
Is there a way for us to see a list of which public libraries are utilizing
Yes.
it?
Thank you. Yes, if you go to the Find More Illinois website, there is participating libraries, but they're color-coded by type of library, and the actual list is on there.
Thank you.
Other questions? Okay, well, that being said, anybody can search Find More, so give it a try. And Dan Bostrom has come up with what we think will be a fun game to encourage people to do some searching. So I'm going to turn it over to Dan so he can fill you in on what we'll be launching soon.
Yeah, thanks, Jane. I think you're right. This is this way to get people more comfortable with using Find More Illinois. As you mentioned, it is free for anyone to search, and it lives out there at findmoreillinois.org. So we want to do something fun to challenge people to start using it. So we're going to be posting weekly challenges on the Rails Facebook. Each week there will be a prompt for you to search the Find More Illinois catalog. To enter, all you need to do is follow the prompt and then take a screenshot of your search result. Once you've done that, you can post it as a comment under the prompt, or you can also email it to communications@info. We've got more information coming on our Facebook page, also in the Rails e-news. This contest begins at the end of January. Our first challenge will be posted Monday, January 28th. Each week we're going to have a small prize that will be randomly selected to enter, and then we'll also have a grand prize at the end of the 6 weeks. This is a 6-week challenge. So I'm excited about this. Look for more information, but I think it'll be a fun way for people to get familiarized with Find More.
We're calling it the Find More Illinois Scavenger Hunt. And so when you see, like on 14th, you can see that we just did a little teaser for it on the Facebook page if you want to read more about it there.
Sounds great. Yes, Find More is a great resource, and it's as the more it grows, the. All right. So now Anna Beam is going to talk about e-resource news.
Yes. I just wanted to provide everybody with a quick update about some new e-content that we've added to our platforms, to the BiblioBoard platform specifically. So as of this month, we've got some brand new pop-up picks on BiblioBoard. So the pop-up picks collection is a collection of hand-curated front list ebooks that are available. The content rotates quarterly, so what's there now is brand new. Highlights of the collection include winners of the Indie Author Project, which was something that sort of grew out of the soon-to-be famous Illinois Author Project and is now in multiple states across the country. So now we have access to all of those books and can read those, which is pretty exciting. Other stuff in pop-up picks includes, there's a New Year, New You collection of self-help titles, a collection that features books by, for, and about strong female role models, some award-winning picture books, new graphic novels, etc. So that's pretty exciting. Check that out. That's on the BiblioBoard page just right at the top there, so it's pretty easy to find. And then I also wanted to talk about, we recently added some new content to BiblioBoard from two educational public, Time for Kids and Abdo. So that content is available now, brand new, just got added, I think, Monday. And it's hundreds of ebooks. Time for Kids specifically is nonfiction readers for grade school students. Focus of the materials is on science, math, and social studies. And then Abdo has both fiction and nonfiction titles includes like graphic novel retellings of classic stories and stuff like that. And we're pretty excited about this. The decision to add this content was largely based on a survey that we deployed at the ISLE conference in November, as well as some in-person feedback that we got from school library professionals. So I just wanted to say thank you to every of us who participated in the survey. That was fantastically helpful, and we heard you. So we added this content, which we're pretty excited about. And it's BiblioBoard, just to remind you, it's available to everyone in Illinois. It's geolocated, so you don't need a library card or a login. You can go onto BiblioBoard and just start reading books right now. And I will the links to the e-news article for e-news that goes out on Wednesday. And then it's also, like I said, available on BiblioBoard right now. So that's the BiblioBoard content. I also really quickly wanted to provide an update for our eRead Illinois members about Access 360. The website was redesigned in November. It is now mobile friendly, which is very exciting, and it provides the foundation for improving the app and other aspects of Access 360 in the future. So we're pretty excited to see that development. And I also wanted to say thank you to the eRead members who provided feedback about the site. Baker and Taylor. Baker and Taylor has already installed several improvements. And several more improvements are in the works based specifically on eRead member feedback. So that was super valuable, and I just wanted to thank you for that. So yeah, feel free to shoot me an email if you have any questions, and that's it for me. Yeah.
So do you have marketing materials or anything that we could print out at our libraries to offer to our patrons with regarding BiblioBoard?
Yeah, I can send you some of those marketing assets. I might have some here too.
Okay, yeah. And we do have, or are slowly populating on the Rails website a section for those to live where you can have the file and then print it as needed, add your logo, that sort of thing.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. I just to add, to reinforce what Anna said about Baker and Taylor, we're going to do in Seattle is have some serious conversations with Baker and Taylor. I know there's a lot of frustration out there with amongst eRead members about the way the app works. Trust me, your frustration is shared by us. Yes, highlight of our itinerary, Seattle. And you know, we are cautiously optimistic, I would say. So we'll see what happens. And then as far as BiblioBoard, you know, I love BiblioBoard. It's geolocated. It's easy to use. There's so much stuff there. Please go and look at it. You will be amazed at what's available to you for free through Rails, through LSTA state, you know, your tax dollars at work. Any questions? Anywhere? Pretty quiet out there. Okay, I bet this will get you excited. Our next report is, so Jessica Barnes has been with us, and her project is Explore More Illinois, which is our Cultural Pass program, and you've got some exciting updates about that.
So in case you haven't heard of Explore More Illinois, and some of you may have and some of you may haven't, like Deirdre said, it's our Cultural and Museum Pass program that we're working on. It's going to be statewide, so we will be having attractions from across Illinois on it. And we do have a launch date now. It will be April 1st. We're happy to announce.
Right.
Right now we have 120 libraries who we have authenticated for the program. All the RSA libraries are ready to go, and RSA library, I'll be sending letters to directors next week, emails to directors next week. All you have to do is just let me know that you're choosing to opt in, and then you'll be set. We also have several CCS libraries who have been authenticated, 2 Prairie Cat libraries, and then 2 standalones. Right now we have 14, and those include very diverse places. Chicago Children's Museum is signed on to be one of the attractions. The Peoria Park District is offering discounts at their zoo, ice arena, and golf course. We had a suggestion from one of our libraries who we've been working with, and I don't know if anyone has ever been to the Viking ship in Geneva, but they have a life-size replica of a Viking ship at a park, and they give tours of the Viking ship, and there'll be a discount for the Viking ship. So there's a lot of different types of attractions that we are going to be offering discounts to. And so we have 14 confirmed, about another 10. And then I also just went down to Springfield yesterday for the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and a lot of people there were really excited about the potential to partner with us. So that was a great opportunity to talk with them. So just a little bit about the program. It's completely free for libraries. There's no cost. It's turnkey. So after we get your initial IT information and we get you authenticated, there's really little or nothing that your staff have to do in order to make this work. We'll be taking care of all of the IT information. We'll be sending you, once you join, we'll be sending you promotional materials for your patrons or how they can log in. If you haven't gone to our website, under Rails website, if you go under services, there's an Explore More Illinois page. And there's a video on how the software will work. So your patrons will just go to a website, a landing page. They will type in their barcode and their PIN number, and then they can add what they're eligible for. They do not have to come into the library to check out anything. It's all done on computer, smartphone, or tablet.
What's the website?
If you go to, right now, if you go to the Rails website, under services, there's an Explore More Illinois page. We are working on our own independent page right now, but it's not quite ready yet.
Library just texted my person, do we offer this? Because I know my
Yeah.
and he says we don't.
Yeah,
So
it's going live April 1st. So right now, the libraries that are authenticated will all be going live April 1st. If you are interested, if you shoot me an email or if you email info@exploremore at the email as well, you can let me know if you're interested in joining, and then we'll be accepting libraries on a rolling basis. So there's no guarantee right now that your library will be up on April 1st, but we'll just be adding libraries as we can fit them in. Also, if you know of attractions in your area that you think would be a great fit for this, we're really trying to work with libraries to, match us up with places in your area that we think would be great partners. So if you have performing arts groups, minor league baseball teams, museums, any kind of attraction that you think would work, please give them my info or send me them, and we can work on trying to get them added. There's no cost for the attractions to be part of this program either. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody because it increases their visibility throughout the state. And then it's great for your patrons because it's just another service that we can provide them. Oh, another thing, I'm just going to shoot that out there too. I'm looking for 1 to 3 more libraries to work with me. Right now, the way that the software works is it's through SIP2 or API connections with your ILS. So it just authenticates through your ILS to make sure that your patrons are registered. If you're a non-automated library, or if you have a small ILS like ResourceMate or Follett, we're working on a way that we can authenticate your patrons. So if you're interested in participating in some testing, please give me an email. I'm looking for 1 to 3 more libraries so that we can work with you on making sure that we can authenticate your, so you can just send me an email if you're interested. But if anybody has any questions about the program, I'd be happy to answer them. Yes.
We join, would we be able to look at stats to see where our patrons are going?
So we send stats to the actual attractions, but I think there must be a way by library to see where your patrons are going as well.
Curiosity.
Yeah. Yeah, we've definitely offered that option to the individual attractions. You're the first library who's asked to see where your patrons are going, but I think we can look that information up and give that to you. That'd be no problem.
It's going to show up on the next Dibbler.
Yeah.
That'd be a good thing to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And that might be a great way for you to partner with other places to see where your patrons are going. Absolutely. Yes.
For libraries that are in consortium, do you work library to you, or do you work you?
So typically we have been working with the consortia directly to get some information. Yeah, I don't know.
Working with Swan?
Swan right now is not interested in participating. And if Deirdre wants
Right.
to add
So
to that.
so Swan has a very, we've been talking to them for quite a while. They've been talking to us for quite a while about it. I mean, it's not that, I mean, they know that their member libraries will want it, but they have a very strong security
Patron
system
privacy, yeah.
that we haven't figured out a way to, or they haven't, or nobody has figured out a way to make that work with the vendor. Now, this is surprising to me because this is live in California for quite a while.
New York City
It's
is
live
using the
in
same
New York
software.
City.
Yeah.
So I would say, Swan Libraries, please tell your Swan staff that you would like this.
Yeah.
I think they need some incentive.
Yeah. And Swan's a huge consortium. We'd love to see Swan.
Yeah, and you got libraries that, that's spots because you're near Chicago, but you're also, you're contiguous to the Viking ship.
Yeah. And I say that as a Swan library. I live in a Swan library district. I've been doing all this work, and so I understand.
Yeah. There's a solution.
Prairie Cat Library.
The two Prairie Cat libraries, so we worked with Prairie Cat to do 2 beta testing. Kankakee Public Library and Peatone are the 2 test libraries. So I will say for Prairie Cat libraries, it should be fairly easy. If you're interested in joining, we've done all the legwork for Prairie Cat. We would just need individual information from each library, but we were very successful in getting Peatone and Kankakee up and running, so it should not be a problem if you're a Prairie Cat library for us to authenticate you. Yeah.
Dee, this is Kathy Bergeron in New Lenox.
Yep.
I have a question. You only mentioned one thing in Chicago. Is the Brookfield Zoo included in this?
We've talked to Brookfield. Right now they have some concerns about the program. We're trying to work with them. So no, they are not officially part of the program yet, but we are optimistic. I know there are other Museum Pass programs right now, and so this is just complementary. We're not replacing any existing Museum Pass program, and I do know Brookfield Zoo is on one of the existing Museum Pass programs.
Apparently, one of their concerns is that they have 2 entrances and they can't figure out how to program with 2 entrances. Yeah. I'm sure
there's
somebody
a way.
figured
We've tried
that out.
to even talk with them about,
right.
You could just have it at one entrance.
Right.
You could teach staff at both entrances how to use this. So I feel like it's a very easy solution, and I just can't get over it. Attractions have the choice. They can either require the user to bring in a printed pass, or you can just show a mobile, on your mobile phone, you can just bring it up on your screen and they can
put on
scan
the
it that
pass
way.
someplace that you must use the north
Exactly.
entrance.
Yes, exactly. And that would be something that you would put on that, that you have to use this guide. I cannot tell you that I feel like this is
members. It's like
I think
you get free parking here, and if you're
it's so.
Or you can pay over here.
It's so simple, and yet we just.
I think the whole kind of the story around this program is getting going. I mean, we've been talking about it a while, and so it's hard to describe, when it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But it's going to exist in 2 months.
Yes.
It's actually happening.
And I think once it's up and running,
it's going to grow
you
like
see
mad.
the patrons see it, other museums and cultural organizations going, to kind of explode, and there'll be word of mouth.
Right.
People may be calling up saying, why aren't you participating?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's going to happen in libraries
Yes,
too.
yes. And just going to the Convention and Visitors Bureau in Springfield yesterday, showing them, people were already brainstorming ideas amongst themselves, like how we can use this. Going down to Moments, they're having, I don't know if it's their centennial, but it's some kind of celebration. All the cultural organizations near Kankakee are going to be using this platform as a way to kickstart this June celebration that they're having. So they're all going to try to get added on, and then they're going to use that as a way to share with cultural resources in the area. So I think there'll be a lot of ways that attractions can use this. They just kind of have to see it once it's up and running.
I do have a couple questions.
Yes.
Too. Yep. So, is there a limit on how many passes patrons can take advantage of in a given week with the Explore More program?
There'll be a time period for the offer. So each attraction will give an offer, and the offer could be free or discounted admission. It could be percentage off at the gift shop. It could be free parking, whatever they come up with. So they might have an offer of 6 months. And in that 6 months, they can choose how many times a patron on a single barcode can, take advantage of time in that 6 month period. They can also set up so that someone could take advantage of the offer every month or every week, but it's up to the individual attraction to decide how often they can take advantage.
I think that's going to evolve too. I think
Yes.
they're going to try it out and see
Yeah,
if it works.
and obviously, there is a little apprehension when you do this. You don't want going to come to your place, and there's financial considerations for a lot of these places as well. What's nice is we don't make them sign a contract. They can change their offer at any time. If they set it up and they realize, oh, we didn't expect this, we can edit and work with them on that.
So I think actually in that answer and previously you said, I'll read it just to make sure. How long is the pass discount good for with Explore More Illinois?
Yeah, so they can set up that time period.
And then will they need to authenticate with an Illinois library card?
Yes, you do have to have an Illinois library card to use the program. So that is the way that you can get into the website.
And we did this to promote the library, not to limit who can use it. It's to promote the library. So
Perfect for summer reading kickoff, too.
Yeah, and I think with April 1st, it's going to be right before summer vacations, right before some spring break, even depending on where you live. So it's a great way to have that available. Great.
Good. You want me just to email?
Yeah, if you can just email me, that'd be fantastic. And we have contacted a lot of places already. Okay. What we've been mostly doing is just kind of sending cold emails to who we think is the most appropriate person at organizations. If you know someone specifically at an organization and we can have an in with rates, if you're on board of anywhere or you know someone personally, I think that's where we've had the most success is when we have that personal connection. Or if you, if you meet regularly with cultural organizations in your community, I would be happy to come in person and talk to some of those places. Is sometimes really helpful too, rather than just getting an email from a place called Rails that they might not be familiar with. So,
thank you.
Sure.
you made a really great contact yesterday in Springfield, the director of the Illinois Museum.
Yeah, I met the director of the Illinois Museums Association yesterday, and so she wants to work to all of her members, and I think that will be a great contact for us too. And it's not just big museums either. We want to get a great range of places all over the state, and a lot of those smaller places that people might not have heard of. I've learned about so many places I want to check out just by doing this that I didn't know existed. The large museums that everybody goes to, but we want to also get some of those places that are really important in their communities, but you might not have heard of. So we want a good mix. Yeah.
It's exciting. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thanks. Oh, great.
Are there any out there right now about anything? All right. So we're going to turn now to the member part of this update. We have a number of that some members are going to tell us. I want to just tell you in advance that the Denise Coate from College of DuPage is ill, so we will not be hearing about that today, unfortunately, but we will get her at a future meeting. So I guess we're going to start off with Erin Wyatt from Highland Middle School, and I'm in Vernon. Erin?
I am in Vernon.
Great.
Okay, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, great. So I'm really excited to talk to you today about a program we started at my school called Highland Reads. And this past fall at the Isle for a program that a library that had implemented an innovative program that had impact with its users in the school. And so we started a couple years ago and we were thinking about ways to keep our students reading over the summer. And I know the public libraries do awesome job with summer reading programs, but we wanted to really engage our middle school students, continuing to read, and then building conversation and community at our school when we started in the fall. So we were thinking about what common learning strategies we could have, how we could strengthen our culture, and we looked at our test scores and saw that nonfiction was an area of weakness for us, or an area we could certainly improve. So we read a lot of books, and we chose that our students could choose from just to give them that aspect of choice, not to demand that they read one particular book. And then everyone was told in our faculty that there was an expectation of using that book somewhere in their teaching in the fall, so that there would be some follow-through for students, that they would have to be able to speak to the themes or they started in the fall. We reached out to our public library, who was very supportive because we had students purchase the books at a discounted rate in the spring so that they had them over the summer, but we also had copies that they could check out from our library. We made sure we had audio available, and then we talked to our public library about supporting the program as well. My colleague, because we had incoming sixth graders who we wanted to read this book, we're a 6, 7, 8 school in Libertyville, and they really did a great job promoting the book. So I'd say almost like 100% of our incoming students had read the book when they started school in the fall. And so our books for our very first year, I brought them for people in this room to see, were I Always Write Back. And they were both, the common themes were like the importance of education, global awareness, all things that we sometimes talk about students in Libertyville as living in a bubble, so to get them outside of their bubble to understand the world a little bit more. So a committee of about 6 of us on faculty really thought this program, how we wanted to launch the excitement for the program when we started in the fall. So we had signs that we asked every staff member to make that said, I am and I will, to pick up on the titles of the book. But I am was a statement of identity. And in middle school, that's really what you're kind of playing with, like who you're going to be and who you are. So everybody had to choose an element of a goal or some kind of intentionality. So all the first day of school, all the faculty and the staff members had outside of their door laminated really bright signs that said, I will. And then we had every student fill out theirs as well. And they were all on display around the school. So it was clear every time you walked through the school that this is what we were thinking about and this is what we did a lot of programming throughout our day and throughout the first few months of school. Everything from math classes talking about the value of currency and looking at maps and talking about distances. Pakistan was one place in the book and Zimbabwe was in the other book, so those were places that our students didn't know much about, so they could learn about those. We talked about the texts themselves and had a chance to do discussions. And then we brought in some speakers, and that was a really cool learning opportunity for our students. We had, there happened to be a woman in Grays Lake who has a connection in Guinea, West Africa, and the partner that she has from West Africa was also in the States doing residency, and it's French is one of the official languages there, so they worked one day with our French classes. They worked one day, they do a lot of work with food insecurity and clean water, so they worked one day with our science classes talking about that. And then the third day was my favorite. We did a drumming class, I guess. So like throughout the course of the day, hundreds of drums set up in the library, so people learn to drum and learn a bit of the language, dance a little bit, and it was really a great cultural learning experience for us. So that was pretty awesome. And then our culmination of the entire program was that we had Caitlin Alafranca, one of the authors of I Will Always Write Back, come in at the end of the program. She was really impactful. One of the messages of her book was right on for our middle school students, the idea of going away from your peer group and doing what you feel is right and doing what will help somebody else. And so we talked a lot about the ability of one person to impact the lives of others and perhaps even change the world. We did, kind of in conjunction with PE classes, we did a walk a mile in their shoes kind of program before school, where students came to school and we walked a 5K to kind of emulate what some students go through around the world to get to school. And then we also have a school-wide charity every year to raise money for all different places throughout the year. We'll choose one and really focus our energies. And so we wanted to connect that with the themes of the books as well. So we have students vote. So we had about 6 choices of organizations that would connect to our books in some way. And so they did choose the Ben Khadi Project, this place in Guinea, West Africa that our speakers were. They were really interested in helping families get access to clean water. And so I think over the course of the year, we raised about $10,000 as part of the program too. So it really took on a life of its own. It became really part of the culture of our school. Even though our official time with the books ended in October with our guest speaker from still talked about the I Am and I Will. They still raised money for the charity. They still kind of followed those themes throughout the school year. And then we did some after surveys, and we found that many, like 93% of the students and the faculty were willing to continue the program on. And our committee went from 6 people the first year to 20-some. So it's really taken on part of the culture of our school, which was kind of our goal to have people talk about these books. So this year our books were Breakthrough by Jack Andraka, who was a young inventor that came up with the idea for early detection tests for pancreatic cancer. And then we've been talking about passion and innovation. And so that's been pretty pretty cool. And there's lots of new connections that grow out of the books every year. So now we're in the process of starting year 3. So I was really glad to have the chance to talk about this program because it really has made a difference at our school to have these common books and common conversations.
That's great.
Thank you, Erin.
Thanks, Dee.
Any questions or from anybody for Erin? Quite inspiring. We're going to move to Evanston. Tim, are you in Vernon also?
I sure am. Can you hear me?
Yes, please. Go right ahead.
Loud and clear?
Yes,
So yeah,
loud and
so
clear.
good morning, everyone. So Mary Witt reached out to me and wanted me to come here and talk to you guys about a project here in conjunction with Baker and Taylor. We launched this initiative project in November of last year. You can't see me, but I do have a pop-up library device here that I'll pass around to the people that are
We
at Vernon.
can see you, actually.
Oh, you can.
I'm zooming.
Yeah. There it is.
Very small. It's like, think of it kind of as a hybrid between a mobile hotspot and a Wi-Fi router. So what this little guy can do, it just needs to be plugged into a power source, and it creates a Wi-Fi connection that goes directly to Baker and Taylor's Access 360 platform. So that's what the lightweight, size of an iPhone, basically. And then I'll hold up a poster. So that's the device, and then we have this poster here. So we have these devices installed at a hospital in Evanston, at 2 Evanston Park District buildings, at Free Health Clinic, our new mobile library that will be debuting this weekend. So you can plug the devices in, and you can't really see this flyer, but it says "Read while you wait. No library, no library card required. Get free ebooks on your phone or tablet from Evanston Public Library here." So say somebody's sitting at our Erie Family Health Center and they're just waiting in the waiting room to see a physician, and they're getting bored of mindlessly scrolling through Facebook or Instagram, and they have their smartphone or they have a tablet with them, anything basically that can connect to Wi-Fi, and they look up and see this poster, read a book. I don't have a library card. Well, you don't need a library card. All you need is to be able to go to your Wi-Fi connection. So you select Pop-Up Library as the Wi-Fi name. You open up a browser, type in popuplibrary.com, and it automatically opens up our Access 360 page and detect them out without having to have a library card. So, the point of this is kind of to put it in places in your community where you think library users, where you might have people that aren't using the library. And what goes on is when they're reading the book, they're streaming it while they get a little pop-up that will prompt them. It'll say, "Hey, are you interested in getting an Evanston Public Library card?" And that pop-up will then have a place where they can input a phone number and an email address, and that information will get sent to us when I log into the admin dashboard, and I can see, the information. We've had 5 or 6 people since November want to, ask for more information on how to sign up to get a library card. And then it also prompts them to say, hey, if you want to read this while, when you go home, you can download the device directly into basically into an app. So you don't even really need, there's no app to download. It's connected through when you're at the location, and then you can download it to read at home. The titles go out for 7 days, and then once the 7-day period is over, they disappear. So that's. Does anybody have any questions?
So what's the
I'm going to plug
feedback
it here.
you've been
I'm going to
getting?
plug it in here and let people play with it once we're done. But if people have
Okay.
questions out there in Rails land, feel free to ask. We're the only library, like I said. So San Francisco Public Library is doing it. Queens and New York, Broward County and Florida have some very bigger, very larger systems. But Broward County has theirs in the courthouse. They have theirs at Senior Center. They're going to put it. They're going to actually install some in Life. There's a range, right? Because it connects. So it's a Wi-Fi device, so you can be basically within like 1,700 square feet, I think, is kind of the range. So if somebody's at the beach and they're half a mile away from, where it's plugged in, they're not going to be able to connect to it. But they're doing the pilot project. So if you want to learn more information, contact Kurt Leppert from Baker & Taylor, because I think they're ready to start giving these. Our pilot project is kind of ending at the end of January, and I think midwinter was when they kind of wanted to launch them to other libraries to be able to do this, though, which we didn't have, but we set one up because we got a grant actually to fund this initially, because you have to buy, you obviously have to have ebooks on there, and we wanted to buy current ebooks, stuff that we thought people would be interested in.
Pop-up library, Patty.
Okay, thank you.
So Tim, what, couple of questions just regarding cost and authentication of products from the Baker & Taylor end.
Sure.
Are you paying per use, or what is the fee schedule?
The pilot program for the device or any of the data that's required to function with the device, because we agreed to kind of be a guinea pig for them. But there will be a cost on that. I don't know what that is exactly. But then in terms of the cost, if you're in Baker & Taylor and ordering in Title Source, like say you were buying anything for your Access 360 collection, you just buy that, and if you already have things, you just point it to the pop-up library device. And each device is individual. So the cost is basically whatever it costs you to buy that ebook. Does that make sense?
I haven't heard back from them, so I think it does.
It makes sense to me.
It makes sense, though, yeah.
So it's based on the publisher, right? So, and what the title will disappear. So we bought like 6 copies of The Hate You Give. So we have 6 titles. We're down to 5. We'll go to 4. But then if we hit that 6 checkout period, then the title will disappear from the device. So whoever's searching, it won't show up, so they won't know it's even available to them. But if you already have an Access 360 collection and you buy a pop-up library device, you can just say, hey, I want to point whatever I already have in my collection at that device. So you don't necessarily have to buy new titles if you don't want to. So you just have to be a Access 360 customer. Right. And we're not with eRead Illinois at this, but that would be a question that Kurt Leppert or Pat Moore from B&T could answer, but that's my understanding, that you can't point any eRead Illinois titles at this. But the nice thing is it's very portable. So the one at the hospital that we have at the hospital on the south side of Evanston hasn't been getting much. You can see if people have they connected to the device. You obviously can see if they've checked something out. You can see then if they've even then downloaded it. Seems like a lot of people are checking things out from where they're at, but then maybe not necessarily downloading it so they can read it when they leave the Wi-Fi connection. It only points directly at the Access 360 site, so it's not something that they can then go in and search the web through that. Any other questions? You're welcome.
I would mention that we've been talking to Baker & Taylor about this, and if there is a way that we could sort of invest in this on behalf of our members. We haven't figured that out yet, but stay tuned.
Plug it in.
Okay, all right. So we're going to move now to Princeton Public Library. Julie Wayland. Julie?
Hi, I hope this works. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Hi. I'm going to be very brief, and our per capita requirements, I just did a lot of extra research just to be able to lead the discussions between the staff and the board members. And one of the things that we found that would work were sensory. The reason why think this is a great idea is because it's so inexpensive that any library could do it. I think we spent less than $200, and we purchased items like blankets, fidget items, different sort of textures, noise reducing headphones, things that we put in a certain area, and patrons can come in and while they're at the seminar to make them more comfortable. Amazon had everything that we ordered, and so far it's gotten pretty good use. It's not something we monitor. It's out in the open. But it's not a big deal for somebody to wander over there and use it, that other people aren't going to be watching them or judging or in any way. It's just there as, if this is something that will make you and that's really all it is.
Okay. Well, it seems like a very low-cost way of helping people. That's great. Any questions for Julie?
With the box being unmonitored, do you have any issues with people treating the materials improperly?
No, we haven't experienced that. We were kind of like, oh, well, anybody could take them and take them home. But most of them are so things that we can easily replace them. And we haven't had anything larger that has been destroyed. Everybody's been very respectful of it so far.
That's great. Any other questions? Anywhere? All right, well, thank you all for sharing. Now we're going to open it up a little bit wider for anybody who wants to. Yes.
We'll ask one question
Yeah.
that just came up, referring back to.
This
Did he
is
say
in
how many?
the stuff in our quiet areas.
He's there.
Did he say how many users they've had?
Tim, did you hear that?
Repeat.
Yeah, Joe and I
Still
Joe
looking
and I from
somebody's,
Rails were actually just talking about this.
presentation at one of the,
I thought I'd heard of this.
like maybe Pug
Hey.
Day.
Sorry, thank you. Not that we don't want to hear you.
Sorry, Tim, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, Tim.
Oh yeah, this is Tim from Evanston talking about the pop-up library. So maybe there was a little bit of a misunderstanding. We've had, I believe it's 6 people since we've gone live request the prompt, to want a library card, because that's kind of what we're, interested in, is obviously connecting with people that aren't using the library. But in terms of users, we've had hundreds of people at the 5 devices that have been out. I don't have an exact number. I'd have to log in, but yeah, we've had hundreds of people actually log in and check something out. The checkouts are less than 100, but there's been, hundreds of people have connected to it and at least connected and browsed through the selection. But the number was 6, I believe, that have reached out and wanted to get more information on a library card.
That'd be so
Anything
great at an airport. I was just thinking.
Yeah, that would be awesome at an airport.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, as I was saying, so we're going to now open it up for anybody to share their whatever, and I think we'll just go around and I'm just going to call on the different sites to see who has something to say. Does anybody have anything here in Burr Ridge? I guess not. How about Bolingbrook? Cole Valley?
They're shaking their heads no. Oh my goodness, yay, we have one.
Yes.
Oh. Congratulations, Kat.
Are you?
the
Oh,
microphone.
hold on.
Sorry.
This is Kathy Worsley from Aledo, and I am retiring this spring.
Oh, wow.
Right after we have our grand opening of our new library.
Wow. Congratulations. Okay, East Peoria.
Yeah, this is Dan from Rails. I'm going to share some news from a member library that I was at recently. The Deer Creek District Library is holding its second annual bingo night. And they're trying to raise funds for new carpeting and lighting.
Great. Okay. Thank
We have
you.
one more
Anybody
thing.
else? Yeah.
Sorry, Deirdre, and this is Dan. We have one more thing. Sorry.
January 26th on Saturday at Brimfield Public Library, we're having Pause to Read event, and children sign up to read aloud to the service dogs. And we're also coordinating with a local animal shelter to have a pet adoption event at the same time through Sam's Midway Animal Shelter in Hannah City.
Excellent. That's great. Always so wonderful to see those programs. All right. Got anything, Jane?
No, I would like to be announcing my retirement, and I would also like to be adopting a dog, but neither of those things is happening, so.
All right. Well, that's okay. How about Freeport?
Nope, we're good out here.
Okay. I understand we lost ILA. Illinois State Library, any news there? Oh, they look like they left. Kankakee. All right, thank you. LaSalle, anything else from LaSalle?
Actually, I kind of have something. We're going through
Okay.
a process of replacing our HVAC system, and we are going to do it in phases, but we were $1,000, so we can pay for it. So we're very excited about that.
That's great. So nice to be able to pay for something that you have to do. That's great. Congrats. I'd say you're doing something right to get that much money. New Lennox. Anything new there?
Yeah, this is Kathy Bergren. I want to brag about my puppeteers.
Hey.
We currently are part of an exhibit at the Ballard Institute at the University of Connecticut, and the two are there for a reception. And then this week we found out that the head puppeteer has been invited by the University of Minnesota to go teach a workshop on shadow puppets this summer.
Wow. Wonderful. That's very cool. Very unusual.
That's fun. Michigan, October, and so we were a voting site for the first time this past November for Election Day. And for those of you who are able to do it and have the facilities that it works well for, I highly encourage it. I checked with a bunch of libraries in the area that are currently doing it and stole their model of opening at 6 a.m. to sign up library cards, telling people, come for a library card, and we signed up over 123 library cards in one day. So if you can do it, make it happen. It doesn't work for everybody, but it worked really well for us.
That's great. That's a lot of people.
Shout out to Piatone who helped me kind of model that. So.
Right. Quincy. Anything new? Bobby or Katie?
No, thank you.
Okay. How about Sycamore?
Just nothing too exciting going on at Vernon. There's always something exciting, but the one thing I did want to put my ILA hat on just for a second and encourage everyone, if you're interested in getting involved in the Illinois Library Association, how the incoming president determines who gets on what committee. So if you've thought about getting more involved in the state association, now is the time to do it. So just a reminder there. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. That's a great heads up. Your association, people, how you meet your next employer or employee. So, as well as lots of great colleagues.
Arcadia would mention something too about
Yes.
LaGrange.
Sorry.
That's okay.
No,
As I mentioned earlier, I'm from the LaGrange Public Library, and we are just finishing up the art and holding. That's a Saturday from 2 to 4, where we'll be promoting our services at different stations throughout the library and raffling off some great prizes. And then we'll be holding a ribbon cutting reception that evening where we'll have appetizers and drinks, and encouraging people to just come out and see the new space.
Great.
Pretty space, a lot more light, and we have a new marketplace with high top seating. So we're very excited.
Good. Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I think that concludes everything, unless anybody somewhere has something to say about anything. Anything on Rails Live? No, we're good?
We are good.
Okay, all right, well, thank you, everybody. The next member update is April 11th. It'll be flowers blooming and birds singing. Okay, thank you, bye.
Bye, thank you.